Every country has its qualities and, of course, its negative sides. I tend to look at the different places with an open mind, and I haven't had any really bad experiences in any country so far. But there's one region of the world that is special to me, and in a positive sense. So this trip was full of anticipation on my part. But before that, a quick look back at last week. Slava Bilinski played the ITF tournament in Rovinj, Croatia, and very successfully. He reached the final against the young Serbian Maksimovic, and he was also victorious in the final, although it was very close at the end. He therefore took the title and confirmed the trend of recent weeks. There's not much time to celebrate, however, as he's playing another tournament in Croatia this week. Yuri Rodionov and I went to Latin America, in particular to Mexico. However, the journey was exhausting, from Vienna via Istanbul to Mexico City. Then, after 5 hours, on to Morelia, the destination of our trip. In total, we were on the road for over 28 hours. We arrived on Friday afternoon, and the preparations for the tournament began on Saturday. And preparation was definitely necessary here. Morelia is situated at an altitude of almost 2000 meters, and the balls are therefore difficult to control here. On top of that, Yuri was struggling with jet lag at the beginning. The tournament took place at Club Tres Marias, and it was a typical Latin American club. The contrasts are extreme in this part of the world, and this club was certainly only reserved for the rich upper class. As usual here, it was not just a tennis club, but offered a lot of comfort for its members. Swimming pool, golf, sauna, various restaurants, battle, and of course tennis. Everything was very well maintained and equipped with attention to the detail. The hotel was 15 minutes away by car and was also in an area that seemed safe and had a few restaurants nearby. In short, the conditions were very good. But what mattered at the end of the day was the tennis here and to what extent Yuri managed to get used to the circumstances. Things went surprisingly well from the baseline on the second day. The serve was still an issue, the percentage on the first serve was too low, and even when Yuri took some speed out on the serve, the number of first serves in the court remained low. We did an extra session just for the serve, and it was a little bit better after that. On Monday, Yuri played his first match against the Kazakh Shukayev. We knew that it would be a tough opponent in these conditions, as he has a strong serve. Unfortunately, Yuri's serve was too weak in this match, and he was constantly under pressure. As expected, his opponent served well, and the result was an easy defeat. Of course, that hurt. Due to the early defeat, there were a few days until the next tournament, and we wanted to make good use of these days at least. Sebastian Sorga and Slava Bilinski are playing their third tournament in a row in Opatija, Croatia. Sebastian suffered a minor injury in the last tournament and traveled to Vienna afterwards for treatment. He responded well to this treatment and was given the green light for this tournament. Of course, he had not trained for a few days, and so his preparation was not ideal. This made his victory over the previous week's finalist Maksimovic all the more pleasing. In any sport, and also tennis, the aim is always to plan everything well and be perfectly prepared. But the reality is often different. Therefore, in my opinion, it is also important as a player to maintain flexibility in order to be able to deal with the things that happen in everyday tournament life. As it is often the case in life, reality doesn't stick to the theory. Slava also won his first match in 2 sets, and interesting opponents awaited them in the second round. Sebastian Sorga played against the Czech Kola. Certainly not an easy opponent in the second round of a future. However, there are more and more well-known names at the lower tournaments, and to go to the top, you have to win against these players. Sebastian didn't manage to get the match on his side. He lost 4-6 and 4-6, sometimes making too many mistakes and not taking his chances efficiently. Slava Bielinski played against Ivanovski from Macedonia. It was an intense match at a high level. In the third set, Slava served for the match, but in this situation he became too tense and so he couldn't close the match. In the end, he lost in a tiebreak in the third set, which was certainly a pity for Slava. Yuri Rodionov stayed in Morelia after his defeat and prepared for the next week. There were enough good players available as practice partners and the conditions remained challenging, but the local environment was very good. Thank you for your interest and see you in the next video.